Alrighty, so let's bring in our guest. This man is a YouTuber just like us, and he is a nerd and a geek just like us. And he also reads comic books just like us. And his name is Jared from Comic Leagues.
Hey, how you doing?
Hi, Jared.
Welcome, Jared. Thank you for joining us tonight, my friend.
Anytime. Thanks for the invite.
You're very welcome, dude. It is an honor to have you on the show, and we can't wait to deep dive into that brain of yours, buddy, because we love some of that content that you put out there. So we're really looking forward to this.
I try.
Awesome. All right, Phil.
Jared.
Let's get started, bro.
All right, so Jared, first question: where did it all begin? How did it all begin? Why did it all begin?
That's a long story.
Do you still want it to continue? No,
Right.
How did you No, we always ask this to every guest. Like, how did you start?
What was your first comic book, bro?
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
That's a lot. So it started so I've always kind of been like a superhero fan. It's like I watched all the movies at first. I was a movies only guy growing up. I was like, my dad showed me the Christopher Reeve movie and the Michael Keaton Batman movie. I was always more of a Batman fan. That will be important later in the story. So I remember I saw my first episode of Justice League Unlimited. It was the episode where Amazo is returning, and you see like every league like hero is there.
Yeah.
And that was the first time I knew that there were other superheroes besides Batman and Superman. I'm like, who the hell are you? And it's like, so there was that. Then 2013, I was taking a comic book drawing class. I still can't draw, but so all that. But I picked up, because this was around the time the new 52 reboot had happened. So I was like, okay, I don't have to read anything beforehand. Pick up anything. I picked up the volume of Justice League Trinity War, which fan freaking tastic. That entire run of new 52 Justice League was dope. Then I find out they made a smart decision and paired Superman with Wonder Woman. That's also going to be very important later on. But so there was that. And then honestly, when DC went from the new 52 to Rebirth, they made a very interesting marketing decision. Stop me if this sounds familiar. Okay, so you liked this version of DC? Screw you. You're not a real fan. So immediately I was like, sayonara. So I was out for, I'd say, 4 years. Yeah, 4 years. I was out of comics. I was like, okay, I'm done. I'm not going to deal with this. Then it was 2020 happens. And I remember it was in May of 2020. I think we all know the day I'm talking about. So I'm getting out of the dentist's office. I'm checking my phone on Facebook. Then all of a sudden I see like a black and white poster of Wonder Woman and it says Zack Snyder's Justice League, HBO Max. And I'm like, wait, what? I legit said, how long was I in that dentist chair for?
Am I still in anesthesia? Am I seeing? Is this real? Am I feeling something?
Yeah, exactly. And previous to this, I had wanted to do a podcast for like a long time. I just couldn't know what could I talk about. So I DM'd a buddy of mine, and we were talking, and we just talked to her FaceTime about like the Snyder Cut being announced, and I was like, God damn, let's just do it this way. So I was like, so that's when Comics League started as like an audio only podcast thing. I didn't do YouTube until much later. And the YouTube thing didn't really get a lot of traction until I started collabing with people. That's when like everything like hicked up. But even beyond that, so the way, so after the Snyder Cut happened, well, it was announced, that's when I started looking at comic books again. And at that point, I was like, okay, I love this stuff. So I rewatched Man of Steel. And then all of a sudden I was like, now I know why people like Superman so much. And it switched where Superman is now my favorite superhero. It goes Superman, Wonder Woman, and then Batman.
So was it Man of Steel that did that for you?
Yeah. because here's the thing. Here, I had the traditional Superman is like a joke, like attitude, but when you look at like Man of Steel, it like succinctly breaks down to his core. Here's who Superman is. So I was like, oh God, I get it now. So this is why this character is so important to DC. So I was like, okay, now I understand this. And then obviously it didn't hurt that Wonder Woman had such a badass intro in BVS. Yeah. I swear, when she came, I knew it was I still say that scene when she comes down would have hit harder had Wonder Woman not been in the trailers. If we didn't know Wonder Woman was in this movie, when they were walking off the plane, they go, Miss Prince, we would have gone.
What?
But it was still good. And obviously with BVS, the dope warehouse scene that was basically an Arkham game. I was
still
like,
the greatest fight scene ever. They have yet. There's so much that they have to top. Seriously, I mean the warehouse scene.
You know
all
what's
of it.
funny?
It's
everybody
insane.
keeps saying Zach was ahead of his time, and you're damn right he was.
But what I've noticed with a lot of people is that they all, anybody who watches his films now, like almost 99% of the time when I talk to somebody, I say, hey, watch Man of Steel, watch BVS, watch ZSJL, and they absolutely love him. And it really does go to show how his films aged like fine wine.
Exactly.
They truly did. They just got better and better with time.
So for the Snyder Cut, I remember my buddy and mine we're sitting down to watch the movie, which, by the way, I had to endure a 3-hour lecture in school before I could watch the movie. So I was like, come on, end this damn thing. Stop talking, professor. So we sit down, and the one thought that goes to my mind is, I knew it wouldn't, but I'm like, please, for the love of God, don't suck. Because if we waited for 4 years and this movie's bad, that would kind of be sad. So I was on board within like 5 seconds. And then it got to the point. What got me on there is the scene when Steppenwolf brings the axe down. It just hits Superman's shoulder. He goes, I'm not impressed, bro. And he just beats the crap out of Steppenwolf. I was like, yeah, I definitely like the guy in the black suit. I'm definitely fine with him. It was not even close. And then like everyone is like ping-ponging him back and forth. So then from there, early on when I did YouTube, I detected, because one of the things they tell you to do is identify like your niche or like what content does well, and then like double down on that. And I detected 2 things. There were 2 themes that did fantastically for me. Snyderverse stuff, I think that's pretty obvious, and anything relating to Superman being with Wonder Woman instead of Lois. So I was like, okay, the people demanded it, so I did that. And so I started the entire show called Super Wonder Legacy, where basically, yes, it is awesome, Tevia, where basically my co-host and I go through, it's not even like, there are episodes where we straight up just go through the history of Superman and Wonder Woman from Golden Age to Modern Age to prove that we read the comics. Because this is what I've learned I'd say about 85 to 90% of people that critique Zach's movies and bring up like panels are bringing them up out of context and don't read the books. Yep. Because it's like, I put it this way, I've done content on my channel. I have more planned on all the comic book accuracies of Snyder. Because Batman kills. Every movie Batman has killed.
Every single.
I don't understand where
indirectly, directly or indirectly, he has killed.
Yeah.
Keaton put a hand grenade in someone's pants. Excuse me.
Christian Bale killed Harvey Dent. Like, nobody made a big deal of that.
Save you, but I won't kill you, but I don't have to save you. You're still killing him, a-hole.
Yep.
I'm like, well, what are you talking? And like Superman killing Zod, he's done that all the time in the comics, and he didn't have like a way out of it. The amount of times I've had to, because I go on friends' channels that are anti-Snyder, and the amount of times I've heard the same old damn arguments over and over and over. It's gotten to the point where I'm like, 3, 2, 1. Okay, here's where you're wrong. So
he's got it all memorized and ready to go.
Yeah, exactly.
I love it.
No, seriously. And that's also why I have the shelf behind me, because the amount of times that I've been accused on Twitter of not reading the comics, it's gotten to the point where all I'll do,
tell me about it.
just send one picture. I'll send a picture of my shelf and go try again.
And they never respond. They never respond after that. That's the best part.
Or they'll say,
they respond, but they'll keep saying whatever. And when you say, hey,
they'll say you should read those. I'm like, okay, which one? Please do. I love all these books. I'd love to reread them. But it's just like, that's what really annoys me, because I encounter this because the Superman fandom and the Lois fandom, they're like sharks around a bleeding corpse. Like that, the Superman fandom is like a pack of rabid dogs. Like if you disagree with them, let me put it to you this way. I'm going to summarize this perfectly. So one of my friends runs the Superman Wonder Woman fan Instagram account. It's like a huge account of stuff. She gets hate DMs all the time. One of them involves someone calling word.
Sorry, you cut out there. I couldn't hear what you said there, Jared.
So my friend runs the Superman and Wonder Woman Instagram account, and she gets hate DMs all the time, and one of which involves the N-word and death threats and stuff, and we're like,
whoa,
yeah, legit. And I'm like, I have, as a drop on my show, the Ben Affleck, these are fictional characters drop, because the amount of times I have to use that, people, I'm like, look, at this point, a certain corner of the DC fan base has become a cult. That's what it is.
And it's funny because they try to project that onto other corners of the DC fandom, and they try to label those other corners like cult followings, when literally that's what they're doing, is they're projecting themselves. It is, I know exactly what you're referring to, Jared, and it's sad to see, man.
Well, but particularly, I got a lot of hate when I published a video talking about how in my opinion, Lois Lane is worthless. The amount of people that like blasted me. The number one, my first interaction on Twitter, someone retweeted and said, "Go F yourself," and I'm like, okay, fine, but all right, I'm just gonna go hang out now. But at this point, I just ignore those people, because ultimately they are the minority. Because I've encountered the amount of nice people and positivity I've encountered since starting this channel far outweighs any of the hate or toxic people I found. I've encountered anti-Snyder people that are just so happy, and they're that are like the nicest people, and they're just like, "Hey, I just don't like his movies." I'm like, "Hey, fair enough. You're allowed to not like that."
And that's the point that we're trying to make to people. You don't have, if you don't like the movies, that's fine. It's not your cup of tea, but be at least open-minded to at least looking at it, and then, all right, let's talk about it. Let's break it down, because maybe there are things that James Gunn, I'll use him as an example, that I don't like, but there are other things that I do like. So we can compare notes and try to find common ground.
But it's more than that. It's you have to, okay. You can't just be biased to one form of storytelling. If you like storytelling, you like storytelling.
Yeah,
you know that other types of characters, their stories can be written and open for interpretation. So you can't call yourself a fan of storytelling and writing and all of this stuff when you take a character and just because of their core beliefs, you think that they can't be touched by the outside world.
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense.
Exactly.
Okay, because you are not expanding on, you are not testing those core elements of the characters. Okay, you gave him all of this stuff. Cool. You gave him hope. You gave him optimism. But how did he get there? I'm more interested in how he got there.
The journey.
I want to know about the journey.
The thing.
Exactly.
I always say on my channel, they have to consider the general audience, because the general audience nowadays is not going to go like, oh, because no, he has to automatically start off that way. No, he doesn't. You have to see that journey of him, because use me as an example. I thought Superman was like a dweeb, honestly. Man of Steel broke it down. I was like, okay, now I get it now. Now I like, because when you think about Man of Steel, when combined with BVS, the Earth like calls him a threat, constantly I always say my favorite part of BVS is not even a fight scene. It's the scene when and all the commentators are talking about Superman, talking about he could be a threat, he could be a devil.
Yeah.
He's just saving people. That's what he's here for. It doesn't matter what you say to him, what you do to him. Yes, he has all the powers in the world. He is in all
BVS was the perfect film because it forced you. Zack Snyder forces you to look at yourself as a human being and how and make you answer those questions about people that you see every single day. How would you treat them? Would you treat them any different than you treat, say, your brother or your what? How would you treat these people? What would you do? What would you say? So he basically flipped it. He is and I was telling the guys backstage before you came on, he is the only director to ask that question, what if? Everybody else tied up their stories in one neat little bow. I was saying that how Richard Donner's Superman, destruction of Krypton, they sent him flying through space. He grows up. He's at the Daily Planet. He meets Lois, falls in love, and then she dies. He reverses the Earth. She's back alive again. Hope and optimism. The end. They did all of that in one movie. Zack Snyder didn't want to do that. He wanted to tell that story long form. He wanted to tell it in the saga. Now, imagine
5 movies.
Yeah.
Imagine if George Lucas just made the Skywalker saga in 2 hours and 30 minutes.
In one movie. If it was just the first episode.
Instead of Luke's journey and Anakin. Luke's journey was 3 movies toward the end, because those were the that was 4, 5, and 6. But Anakin's story was also 3 movies. And if you want to say it was all 6 of them. But now imagine if you're trying to tell Anakin's story in 2 hours and 20
in just
minutes.
one movie. It doesn't work. You can't do it. You need the character development.
Plus, here's the part that blew my mind. BVS. I love BVS. I loved it more after watching the Snyder Cut and Man of Steel because it recontextualizes everything else. When John Kent says, "Fly, son, it's time," all of a sudden, when you harken back to that moment in Man of Steel, you're like, "Oh my God, why am I crying?"
BVS. Did you see that one in theaters, Jared, or did you?
Yes, I saw all of the DCEU films in theaters.
In theaters. So I want to know your thoughts. Theatrical versus Ultimate Edition.
Ultimate Edition all the way, because they leave out the fact that here's the problem with the Ultimate Edition. They make it like Superman's an idiot and couldn't see a bomb in a wheelchair. In the Ultimate Edition, they explain it. That's one thing. Don't take that out. I could see some of the stuff being taken out, but the bomb in the wheelchair.
What they showed. This is what they showed. They showed you that man was emotional like the rest of us, bro.
Yeah.
If you're not focused on what he was focused on people hating him so much that he couldn't see it. Just like you said, I wasn't looking. I'm too busy worried about why people hate me so much.
Yeah.
That's exactly what he was focused on, and that's why he didn't catch it.
Yeah,
exactly. So I just wanna acknowledge people in the chat. So just bear with me here a second. So Jared here, the hate and cynicism for Zack Snyder gets is unfair and negative. He's a great director and a brilliant artist, and his movies, especially his DC films, are huge graphic novels coming to life.
They look like it.
Yep, that's exactly what it is.
And we're gonna get into that. We're gonna get into that. We're gonna talk about that later. By the way.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Kobe here says, I used to hate BVS, but now it's one of my favorite movies of all times. And who else? I don't think BVS is my favorite movie, but I will give it credit. The Ultimate Edition makes the movie make sense. Absolutely.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
And I want to say something else. Tevya,
go ahead.
What they did, look, before they pulled that movie from theater, and keep in mind that WB pulled it early from theaters because 2 or 3 bloggers, a handful of them at the most, trashed the movie. So they listened to those few bloggers, handful of bloggers. They pulled the movie early in the theater. That was up to $878 million before inflation. Had they left it there for 2 more weeks, even 3, it would have crossed $1 billion. Easily. They would have had their numbers.
Yeah, actually,
and in China,
adjusting for inflation, it did.
Yes,
it did. Yes. Exactly. Yeah,
and that's just theatrical, not even physical.
That's just theatrical. Yeah, I know, exactly. That's
all right.
Hold
on.
Yeah,
hold on. We gotta give some love to the chat as well. So
all right.
let's throw him a drop. Let's throw him a drop.
All right.
Throw.
You're gonna have to take it over.
Ah, right. Commencing drone mode. Thermal imaging is showing me 24 hostiles on the 3rd floor. Why don't I drop you off on the 2nd?
God damn, when he goes through that
Thermal
window,
imaging
I'm like,
shows
that is
doesn't hostile on the
badass.
3rd floor.
Nessa
Why
Noel,
don't I
shout
drop
out
you
to
off
you.
on
It's
the
been a
2nd?
while since you've been here, so I just want to acknowledge you, show you some love, and happy holidays, and thank you for being here.
Awesome. Thanks for
Dude,
being here,
I
Nessa.
swear, I was anti Ben Affleck playing Batman until I heard the voice. I was like,
I was.
because here's the thing. It's like
We love you, Ben. We love you.
Yeah,
Of course
please
we
go
do,
back. But it was like,
He shut me down quick when we went to the theater to see that. Even
Oh,
though
yeah.
I was just like,
the moment, the part that really
that's
convinced me.
that's out of the comic book right there. He's
Yeah,
ripped straight from the comics, dude. I was like, damn.
The moment that got me was like when like he opens the little tube and you see the bat suit and it just zooms on his face and he just has that dark expression on his face. I'm like, that is Bruce Wayne right there. That is Batman. That's what Zach. He literally cast people that look exactly like the comic book character.
Yeah,
Exactly. I was having a conversation like that with my wife before. I was like, he cast people, even their little kids look like them when they're older. His Batman even had the
looks
mole.
like Wonder Woman.
Yeah, his Bruce Wayne had the mole. The kid had the mole in the same exact spot Ben Affleck's actually got it.
Yeah.
Come on, bro.
Ben is literally Batman ripped from the pages of the comics. And not only that, he is the best interpretation, I think, of a animated series Kevin Conroy Batman come to life. I truly believe that. And I think Kevin Conroy believed that as well, because I remember there was an interview before he passed away where he said that Ben Affleck was his favorite movie Batman.
Because Batman got that, because Batfleck got the balance. It was like, essentially because you've always had like, who's a better Bruce Wayne? Who's a better Batman? No, Affleck is like right there in the middle. He literally is both.
He understands how to play both characters. And that's something that a lot of the other actors who played Batman, either they chose not to do or for creative reasons they didn't do it. Like, for example, when you take a look at the most recent Batman, Robert Pattinson, he's all Batman. There's no Bruce Wayne to him. Right?
Which I get because it's like in the beginning of his career, and I understand that that's an interpretation. But we also had Christian Bale, who was in the start of his career, and he was fine. He was like,
he was a good Bruce Wayne. I just had issues with him as Batman.
Where's the trigger? Where's Harvey? Yeah, I stopped taking him seriously. It was good in movie 1. Movie 2 and 3, it got grating as hell. Yeah, I was like, "What the hell is this?"
And that's why I actually love what they did with Ben Affleck's voice. How they gave him that robotic microphone thing in his cowl. That is amazing. Like the fact that they thought to do that was phenomenal.
The first time we see Batman, how they build up to it, you see a battering on the wall. The cop swings over. He's just hanging on the wall like a freaking bat. I'm like, oh,
that's ripped out of the comic book. Ripped out of the comic book. You don't see Christian Bale's Batman do that.
No,
you don't even see Michael Keaton's Batman ever do that. Like that is something and that's what I mean. Zack Snyder has that.
That's a man who understands comics, bro.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Bringing that graphic novel right to the screen.
Or it's like in the warehouse scene where he's like surrounded by like 3 guys. He's like blocking guys behind him, and I'm like,
the style of his fighting is exactly
more fluid.
That. It's exactly like
that's the way Batman would fight. Or it's like with Wonder Woman when she comes in, and first off you hear that theme, and I was like, oh my god, that's a great thing. But then she just charges in with a scream. She's like, ah! And I'm like, this is freaking...
The theater's lit up. Yeah, they did. That scene.
Just that shot of the Trinity together as the camera pans down, you hear the music. And it's kind of funny. I have the art book for BVS, and the last page is that shot, and they say, okay, we have Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman in this movie. We can't not have a scene with them all together, right beside each other, fighting a threat. And I'm like, okay, there you go. The moment I knew that the moment Zach got my like loyalty for lack of a better term is when it kind of got it was actually really in Zack Snyder's Justice League, because the reason why I've always been a DC fan more than a Marvel fan. I still like Marvel, but I'm more on the DC side because growing up, I've also always been a fan of like Greek myth and like those types of stories. DC weighs heavily into that.
Yeah.
So, and particularly Zack Snyder, when he holds on shots, or it's like the last time you see the League together in the Snyder cut, they're on top of that silo, and it's like the gods, everyone's standing there, and I'm like, yeah, this guy gets it. This guy 100% gets it.
He knows how to tell mythological stories.
Yeah, 100%.
He really does. I mean, he did it with 300, and then he basically did that again with Justice League in its own way, and it's freaking beautiful, man.
Oh, on that. So 300 was my first Snyder movie because we were driving to Disney World. And my mom, I was like, I had to be about 12 to 13 or so. She's like, hey, you like military history? What's 300? And I'm like, oh my God, what the hell is this? And then I read the comic recently. And I read the comic and I'm like, oh God, he literally just did the comic book right here. I'm like, what the? I don't know how you did this, dude. Zach is a magician with adapting comics to screens. Somehow, it is legit the panels. Like, you can take any freeze frame from any of Zack Snyder's DC movies, and I guarantee you will find a panel that is legit that like scene. Yep. That's it. When Henry is like in space and he opens his eyes and it's all red, and I'm like, I know that panel. It is freaking dope.
Yeah.